39.
Number 1.
39.
1.
38.
37.
36.
35.
34.
33.
32.
31.
30.
29.
28. 27.
26.
25.
24.
23.
22.
21.
20. 19.
18.
17. 16.
15.
14.
13.
12.
11.
10.
9. 8.
7. 6. 5.
4.
3.5.
3.
2.
1.
Hey, Rocky, you want to see me pull a show out of my hat? Nothing up my sleeve. Presto! That is a good question. Will politics ever change? Our guest tonight, sure hope so. But hey, Mouthwash viewers, welcome to the Mouthwash Show, a minty, fresh take on politics. And we're going to talk to our friend Andrew Horning. He's been on the show before. I've actually interviewed him at his house in Freedom, Indiana. Isn't that a good place to live? Freedom, Indiana. I think he lives on a gravel road. So it is out there in southern Indiana, out in God's country. So we're going to talk to him. But first, I want to share something with you. I want to share, my friend Thomas Breedlove. He's the Indianapolis skateboard journalist, and he called me tonight. He says, "Hey, I got 1,000 viewers on TikTok. I am so excited about this, and Instagram. I'm like, my show's so I'm going to give my friend Thomas Breedlove a shout out here. Go check him out on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. It's TA Breedlove. It'll pop up. And he is going out on his skateboard, and he is just going around Indianapolis, and he's just sort of he's just documenting with his video camera. He's got some cool stuff. He's got it's just really cool. You got to check it out. And his goal is to shoot 10 years of video of Indianapolis, and he's on about year number 6. So he's all fired up for you to come see his stuff. So go to his website, it's tabreedlove.com. You can go to that. That's the website. But catch him on TikTok. He's doing some lives where he just goes up, gets somebody live on camera. It's only a minute. You can spare a minute and go check him out. So that's some more entertainment, of local entertainment. We need to support local entertainment. And I know he was all excited about shaking the mayor's hand at the St. Patrick's Day parade. He says that's the first year in like 5 or 6 that he's done that. So that goal's been reached. 1,000 viewers on TikTok. Go check him out. Hey, we got a great show tonight, and we have a good lineup. We're coming into the primary season now. Our guest tonight, Andrew Horning, does not have a primary challenger, but he has an uphill battle as a libertarian in the fact that he's going up against the big guns. I would say Jim Banks, and honestly, I don't even know who the Democrat is that's running against all these people. But as you know, we've had John Rust on the show, and he was eliminated from that crowded ballot of 3. So, we don't want too many people on that ballot. That's, competition is bad. So we have that going. And then also, if you caught the Cassie Jackson, Say It Out Loud, it was on recorded 8 o'clock before this. You can go back and check it out. That's on Chateau de Marcel Studio. And then we're on some of her social platforms. But we dove into the Carmel School Board a little bit. And then also we have Friday, we have the Stock Market Neophytes. We are at live noon. And we actually did our first live show last Friday. You can catch that on the Chateau de Marcel Studio page as well. Maybe you can get some good stock tips. We actually have a guest. Coming on that actually knows something about investing. So you'll want to catch that. So tonight we have Brad and Tiffany. Lucy, she's taking a knee because she didn't want to take any of the oxygen out of the room from her candidate, Andrew Horning. She wants to, all focus on her. Either that or she was driving, but it was a last minute deal with her. So we're good to go. I'm sure Brad and Tiffany will have some good comments tonight. And I think it's time to go. I'm going to go ahead and bring Andrew on here. We're not going to play small talk until I'll play small talk in between me talking to Andrew and our panel. So let's bring Andrew on. Andrew Horning, how are you doing, sir?
Howdy, everybody. I'm doing well, thanks.
Live from Freedom, Indiana. I mean,
And yes, it is a dirt road, and it's dirtier than a lot of dirt roads. So
I think it was like limestone-ish. Wasn't it like a limestone sort of?
It's limestone, but you kind of need like a mil-spec vehicle or a helicopter or something like that to get in some of the areas around here. We have Owen County's kind of legendary for a few things. Unfortunately, political corruption is one of them. But the other one is we've got some pretty bad roads.
I think wow, that sounds like Indianapolis a little bit. I don't know.
Well, at least our politicians have gotten caught a couple of times. So there's that. And kind of like Illinois, we know Illinois has got crooks, but at least they send their governors to jail. And that's a fine thing. So.
Yeah. What was that senator over there that sold his seat?
Oh yeah. Well, that was with Blagojevich and
Blagojevich,
So that was the governor and the senator, and there was lots of. I mean, Illinois has always been, it's a hanky.
Yeah, ever since Mayor Daley, right? Mayor Daley was a straight shooter compared to some of these folks. Whatever happened to that Blagojevich or whatever his name? Yeah, we don't hear anything about him. Did he go to jail and we just like where'd he go?
Well, it's older than that. I mean, they stuffed ballots to get Lincoln, the presidential candidacy back in. I mean, at the very start of the GOP. I mean, political corruption is nothing new. I mean, that's been around forever.
Yeah, it is. Well, so let me get to it real quick. What the heck made you want to run for the U.S. Senate? I mean, that's the big time,
Well, people keep asking me why I don't run for local office, and unfortunately, my answer has always been there. Everything is getting increasingly centralized. Power shifting more power into fewer and fewer hands, and even the U.S. government is not really the seat of our government anymore. I think a lot of people understand that. Now, with the New York Times even coming out and saying that there is a deep state, they're admitting it. And the fact that a lot of people know it's largely the CIA that Eisenhower and Truman and JFK were warning us about. And so we've been amply warned, and we've had lots of examples of the horrors of what the CIA does, and they've been caught many times. And, really, why do we have a whistleblower sitting in a prison in England for 5 years? I know,
Now, which one are you talking about? You talking about Snowden or the other guy, WikiLeaks guy? Which one?
It's now you made me. I had it in my head, and now it's WikiLeaks guy. Shoot.
Yeah. Okay. Somebody put in the first person that puts it in the text. I'll send you a T-shirt. Probably not. But it is. I can't think of it either. It's what happens when you get old people together. We forget about stuff. We tell the same story.
No. Our mind is filled with other things.
That's Assange. Julian Assange.
Julian Assange, right.
Spiro Rockley-Amas. You already got a T-shirt. You don't get anything.
Yeah.
He says Desange. That was close. Assange. It's Julian Assange. Yeah. And so that's what sort of bothers me. Who holds the CIA accountable?
Well, nobody.
Nobody.
You remember the Church Commission? The Church Commission, they tried to hold the CIA accountable, and in fact, they kind of did. And so there was a brief period in the when the CIA was first created by Truman. Truman, of course, regretted it, and he said so. And it grew exponentially. But then the Church Commission comes along in the 50s, and there's kind of a step down. But once the Cuban Missile Crisis happened, I think the gloves came off, and everybody said, "Oh, we need the CIA to, do CIA things," and they've grown ever since. And I think, there's very little doubt among people who study anything that the CIA is implicated in the deaths of a lot of key people, including Martin Luther King and JFK.
Yeah,
so
and Bobby Kennedy Jr.
Bobby Kennedy, sure.
It's like the '60s was tough to be going against the grain in the '60s. So you think, pretty much since then. Don't try it, or you'll be, yeah.
Was it Judge Napolitano who just said that he talked to Trump, and he said, why didn't you do this kind of stuff? Why didn't you release the JFK files when he said he was going to do it? And now this is according to, I think it's Napolitano. And
so we put the tinfoil hat on.
Here, I don't have a tinfoil hat, but let me.
You said you were going to have one. Okay,
let's-
so this is. Let me put the banner. This is this. Hold on a second. let me protect you here. So, let's see. Okay, now go ahead. We're doing it early. Okay, what? So what is this?
All right. So basically, what Trump said is that if I told you what they told me, you would understand why I did not release the JFK files.
Ooh, what are they trying to say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay. Well, there you go. You're protected from that. The CIA don't get us. We're just speculating. Okay.
well, we know that the FBI under right from the very beginning they were threatening and manipulating congressmen. That's been known for a long time, and a lot of the stuff that is not secret anymore, like Operation Northwoods or Mockingbird, where we actually paid. We taxpayers paid newspapers to lie about everything.
No, the media's stone cold truth all the time. But don't break my bubble on this. It's sad.
Yeah.
So, well, Andrew, let's see. I'm going to go ahead and play small talk. I see that our people are ready back there to come out here and grill you to the core, and maybe we'll even ask some Constitution questions. I won't, because I don't even know what's in the dang on thing. I just try to live I know it. It's terrible. All I know is freedom. I'm going to move to Freedom, Indiana, because that's the only way I'm going to get freedom from this oppression from the city. The city's oppressing me. So let's see here. Let me see if I can pull this up here. Here we go. Small talk. I haven't even seen it. So he may cuss. He may do whatever. I don't know. I haven't seen it. I just downloaded it.
Today,
yeah, we're going to see it. So here you go. We'll have the panel on the other side.
Hi, I'm Mark Small. This is Small Talk. We have two major political parties in the state of Indiana. That's what our statute says. In order to be one of the two major political parties, you have to have gotten 40% of the vote for Secretary of State in the most recent election. That means you got bennies, like you got your primary election run at the expense of the state. Now, are you a Democrat or are you Republican? What is your ideology? Well, let me tell you, it's not reflected in any of the documents that are filed with the state. The Republican Party, for example, of which I am a member of good standing, has no ideology. Yet people tell me all the time I'm a rhino, I'm a Republican in name only. No, the Republican Party was the party of Lincoln. It is no more. If you look back at what the framers of the Constitution said about parties, they called them factions. They were opposed to them. And this is what they result in. They have their own little fiefdoms. They really protect what they want to have as goals. And overall, those goals aren't the same as the best interests of the people. What you get at the end is a corporation wanting to have whatever a corporation wants, not political goals that are for the good of the people, in this instance, the state of Indiana. Now, here in Marion County, which is where Indianapolis is located in Indiana, state capital, we have one political party. It's not the Democratic Party. It's not the Republican Party. It's the Green Party. It has nothing to do with the environment. It has everything to do with contracts are being released for contractors to build buildings that we really probably don't need. When you look at what we do here now, we give land away to people that want to develop things, and we pay for the buildings that are going on the land. Now, I don't know if you believe in free market economics, but that sure ain't it. It leads to corruption. Mark Small, Small Talk, peace.
I think I saw some classified documents in the back there. I'm not sure. I don't want to get him in trouble, but I see that. So that's going to lead me to the first question, Andrew. Why the heck don't the two major parties pick their candidates like you do? Get together, have a little convention, say, hey, put on this crown, you're the king. Why?
Well, in some states still do that, and Indiana did until the 1970s. So, I mean, the primary system is actually relatively recent, and people fought it when it first started coming around, late 1800s, early 1900s. And in fact, Indiana was one of the first states to actually institute primaries 19-something, but then they discarded it because it turned out to be kind of a mess, and the political parties lost control of their own candidates. And there are all kinds of disadvantages that a lot of people would understand today when you see what happens with the internecine fighting within both Democrat and Republican parties.
Yep.
So
hey,
there's
I lost Tiffany.
Oh.
There she is. Well, let's get to our. Let me get. Where's my manners? I didn't even let Tiffany come on and say hi. I don't blame you for leaving, Tiffany. I didn't even ask you how you were doing tonight. So, Tiffany, how you doing tonight?
Everything's perfect in my world. How are you doing, John?
Good. I saw your video today about your real estate. I shared it on the Mouthwash thing. So I'm doing best I can for you because, you know, you get such high pay on this show. I got to throw a bone out every once in a while.
You know, I saw that you shared it and it warmed my heart. So thank you.
Oh, yeah, it's good. Wait, will you not, you may not make fun of me tonight?
Later.
Yeah, I get at least a 10-minute reprieve. So Brad, you
make fun of Brad, and I'm gonna make fun of Andrew too. So it'll come.
It'll all work out. Make fun of them white dudes. I get. I see it.
Fun of you. That means I don't like you.
Yeah, that's you know that's usually a male's language of love. But hey, we'll let you come in our club. We don't care. It's like this is not a he-man women haters club. This is everybody's welcome. So Brad, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. Yeah,
it doesn't feel believable that I didn't believe that.
I didn't actually get to watch the Republican governor debate tonight. I'm kind of bummed about that.
Oh, is it on right now?
I don't know. We got pretty good viewers on here tonight. So
no, I'm sorry. I didn't mean like go turn that on.
Wait. We are much more important
on Twitter here because they were talking about a bunch of different topics, and all four candidates were just pretty awful.
Yeah, well, they eliminated the party with the big tent. They eliminated the two people that we should have in the tent.
I still can't believe that. I mean, they qualified for the ballot. Like they are on the ballot. That should be it. That there should not be I have this much in my campaign fund.
It's so crowded. 6 people on the stage. It'll probably tip over like Fred Flintstone
right?
Burger and all that. But that's enough. So tomorrow night, so we had Curtis and Jamie Rittenauer excluded, but Curtis is in the CBS one tomorrow night, and I got tickets. I'm going to go heckle him.
I'm going too.
Are you going too? Well, maybe we could have a mouthwash. We can yell out mouthwash and stuff there. So, so. Andrew, back to your race. This is important because we have Jim Banks, who's a Republican running, and he's pretty much scared everybody and their mother away from running. And I see Tiffany already smiling. So Tiffany's going to have to be the supporter of Jim Banks. Brad, I'm going to put you as the person who attacked Jim Banks. And,
okay.
Yeah. So I mean, this is really going to be a stretch for you guys. It's going to be a stretch. You got to be a method actor here, and then we're going to find out why Andrew Horning. We need to elect him to something, and this would be your chance to do it because he's a guy that's going to go out to Washington and probably get frustrated. I mean, so my first question is going to be, how are you going to get these people to do something? Because I talked to Greg Pence. He's quitting because he can't get anything done out there. I asked him about running for Senator Young's seat because, that's probably going to come up for something. He says, I don't want to ever go back to that place because you can't get nothing done. So how are you going to get these people to toe the line, Andrew?
I wouldn't. See, everybody's mistaken about how any of this stuff works. It's actually voters who determine everything, really, in terms of we have been supporting a system of bundlers and puppet masters and the WEF and the UN and all of these and the CIA. And so, frankly, if you're talking about deep state, they are far more powerful than anybody on the ballot. And that's where, I know an awful lot of people who have known a lot of politicians, and I've known a lot of politicians myself. And in fact, Jim Banks used to be fairly libertarian before, he went native. And it's a very common thing to do. And it's understandable because, to do what people say, get things done, you make alliances, you make friends. These people, they give money to both Democrats, Republicans. They don't care. They just want to know whoever wins picks up the phone when they call. And that's where the corruption starting even with campaign donations is so extreme that the only way we can fix it is if voters make a strong statement that they're done with the whole system, not just individual candidates, because there are some fine people. In fact, I know, a good friend of mine is a good friend of Jim Banks. And I don't want to ever make this personal with anybody because I understand where people come from in terms of the compromises they make when they run for public office. I mean, even running as a libertarian, even though, obviously we're the kind of people that don't care about the odds and, we think we're doing this for all the right reasons, we still make compromises in terms of having to raise money, which I think is a horrible thing. There isn't any other job application process in the world that's like running for public office. And if people did anything like they, would do hiring any other job, we would be seeing more people showing up to debates. We'd be seeing more people showing up to public forums. In fact, I've been to 2 candidate forums here in Owen County. They were just for Republicans, but I showed up and I was civil. I didn't make a big thing. But the fact that it was almost entirely candidates and no voters showed up. And
that's what we see. So I need to let them. I got one more question, then I'm going to let you guys go. How do we get people excited about this skin? How do we get people excited? Because it's everybody. A lot of people think their vote doesn't count. They're not counting it. I don't. This person doesn't align with me. We don't have any choices. I mean, your election's a very good example that we don't. I mean, all the choices have been eliminated by either one of the 2 parties. I don't even know who the Democrat is that's running. We're not going to mention their name because I don't know who it is. So
it was Mark Carmichael.
Mark who?
Mark Carmichael and their Valerie.
Oh, I know Valerie McRae. Valerie McRae. I know her. So
yeah,
she's run before. So
well, what you were talking about with the Republicans, kicking 2 of their people out of debates. I'm going to be certainly facing that. I mean, all libertarians face that all the time where, we are on the ballot. I'm the only candidate for U.S. Senate so far. So I'm the only one who's already on the ballot because we've had our state convention. They chose me. So I'm the guy. And yet all of the media coverage, all the debates, everything you hear is going to be about the other guys. And
that's why I wanted to get you on here. I mean,
thank you very much.
We got a big reach. He's 20 to 30 people watch this show. So,
oh man, that's more than libertarians ever get to talk to.
That's it. I do. You would appreciate that. Somebody that these big time guys, I don't got time for mouthwash. I make fun of it. So,
but to be fair, I've gone to lots of Republican and Democrat meetings where they don't have very many people showing up either. And it's not like people are excited about. I mean, let's be clear here. I'm not a basketball player. I've given up on that aspiration. And the fact that I'm not. Who's that? That singer that everybody keeps talking about all the time. The blonde lady that they're worried about. She was going to. I'm sorry.
Beyonce.
Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Taylor Swift.
Are you, Andrew? Are you a Swiftie? I
am not a Swiftie.
You need to be one. Come on.
I'd be more of a Beyonce fan than a Taylor Swift fan, and that's where I. Yeah. Well, don't
I'm
get
more
me
of a
started.
Jenny from the block.
Well, one of my favorite. This is probably not nice to say it. I don't know if you guys have ever seen. What is that when they make spoofs on everything? It's bad lip reading. There's a bad lip reading video with Beyonce that I love that. That's one of my favorite videos ever. It was when she was singing, the inauguration thing, but let's not go there because
it's not tinfoil hat time again. We've already done it once early.
Well, so getting back to serious. So, take it,
this is the mouthwash show. I mean, come on.
So seriously, the way all of this works is I think everybody knows it's rotten. And unfortunately, it's rotten enough that a lot of people have thrown up their hands and they say, I'm done with this. I'm not voting anymore. I'm not showing up. I'm not paying any attention. That's exactly the wrong thing to do. And I know an awful lot of my, I've got a lot of friends who are anarchists, and they know what's going on. And these are the people that maybe more than most, they've studied all of the big problems that we've got. And they say, no, we're going to let it crash. And when, after it crashes, they assume freedom is going to somehow reign when that never happens. And that's, and then you have these other people.
Well, and our anarchist is not here. Our anarchist Lucy's not here. She wants to burn down the Fed, taxation theft.
I'll take that aspect of it too. But Andrew, how when you see a Jim Banks commercial, how do you even watch that and not laugh or wonder what he's even thinking? Because
I tell you what disappoints me. An awful lot of people are saying that they want to drain the swamp, but they're hanging with all the swamp people. And that's where, if you've got all of the swampiest people endorsing you, and you've been endorsing swampy people, and you're taking money from the swamp, and you go to these events and you've got Lindsey Graham and all of these people, you're hugging these people. No, this is not how you get rid of the swamp. And that's, you can't wear the swamp and fight the swamp at the same time.
I think they're inviting more people into the swamp.
Do we wait for some of the?
I'm sorry?
Do we wait for some of the alligators and crocodiles to die?
I'm a fairly simple guy in that I think there really is only one way to fix this. And that's if people get mad. Well, it's like it says in the Declaration of Independence, mankind are disposed to suffer as long as evils are sufferable. I forget the rest of it.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, before we'll do anything, in fact, in the case of the founders, they were getting shot at. They were getting shot at a lot. And the fact that, they had, they already had some pretty major events, even worse than our Waco and things like that, that enraged them enough that, they were going to do something about it. But keep in mind, that was 22% of the population that was behind starting a new nation, as opposed to the rest. They were English citizens. They wanted to be English citizens. And in fact, in the Declaration of Independence, people get wrong what that was really all about. They were really just saying, you have not been given us, King George, our rights as English citizens. And therefore, because you've not been treating us as English citizens, you have these 27 disagreements that are listed. Only one of them was about taxation. And it wasn't taxation without representation. It was taxation without our consent. And that's where, the nature of rights and the nature of, they didn't have a written constitution, but there was English tradition that they were being denied. And so they were fighting that. Whereas today we have a written constitution that I'm clearly I'm going to be the only constitutionalist in any kind of way running for U.S. Senate. And the fact that, most people don't even know what that means is testament to the fact that we have been trained away from the founding principles for long enough that we don't even know what they are.
It's a distraction. So we got a question from Wayne Harmon. I think that Wayne may have been trying to run for Senate. I don't know if he was getting. Tiffany, do you know anything about if Wayne was trying to run for
Congress?
For Congress, it might have been the House.
I don't think.
Yeah. So he's asking about term limits. What do you? I mean, we got people that have been in that thing for millions of years. Yeah. It seems like.
Well, there are two parts to that. You're not going to get term limits from incumbents. And so until we vote new people in, you're not going to get term limits whether you want them or not. And the only reason I favor term limits when I didn't really used to, I used to be, one of those hardliners that said that's what voting is for. We have the power of peaceful revolution. We could fire everybody if we want to. The reason I have changed my mind is because once people, I'm sorry.
So we don't fire nobody. They don't go away. I mean, these people are dying almost in office. I mean,
literally, sure.
Feinstein, Mitch McConnell, all these, it's like, for the love of everything holy, can we find somebody that's got a pulse?
Yeah, but it is on us.
It's on us.
I hate that Andrew's right, because it's so depressing to know that we're the only ones that can save us. Oh God.
It's like asking the morbidly obese person to put the Big Mac down.
But it is. It's asking people to get involved, and it is a very hard sell.
It's just discouraging.
I mean, but I even feel too like I'm not doing enough. I'm very much more focused on state politics than I am about county politics or even city politics to an extent. But it's so. I feel somewhat, I'm like, okay, well, all my time is being spent here and I'm not spending enough time here as a good citizen. And it's there's not enough time in the day to, deal with this.
It's way more complicated than it should be. And that's where we have so many, we have carved out entire, careers for people to navigate through our maze of rules. That people talk about the size of the federal code books, and nobody knows how many federal laws we have. Literally, nobody knows how many laws we have, and that's the federal level is enormous. But even the state level, you look at Indiana code. how that just keeps growing all the time. It's only been gone through twice ever in this history of Indiana where they went through and cleaned up some stuff.
Oh,
and that's
yeah.
and the fact that nobody knows the law means
This
that
is what AI is supposed to be used for, I think. Like this kind of crap that nobody wants to do.
Yeah, just turn the AI, have them rewrite the Constitution with AI.
No, just have them.
You can put it on there, make it with some
them,
flair.
Well, you'd have to say, AI, is this illegal per federal code? And then wait for it to tell you whether or not.
Freaking simplify it. It doesn't have to be.
But think about it. Indiana, what they have 85 new laws that the governor signed or whatever. That's on top of the billions that we have. And
did he sign the lemonade stand one? Because that was the real important issue this legislative session was lemonade stands.
And you can have happy hour at that lemonade stand. That's another important one.
Yeah,
but I know that we didn't get our official piece of pie. I don't think we got that done. So these important things.
Oh my God, my ears are getting hot.
if I were to direct the AI, if I could control the AI and tell it how to do it, it'd be very simple. We'd look at, for state code, it would be Article 1, Section 25. Basically that's our 10th Amendment for the state. And, and then when it says that no law shall be passed, the taking effect of which shall be made to depend upon any authority except as provided in this Constitution. That's Article 1, Section 25. And if you just look at Indiana code to see how much is written outside the authority granted in the writing of the Indiana Constitution, most of it would be gone. Like just about all of Indiana Code Section 3, which is all about, political parties and, the ballot access, all of that's unconstitutional. The fact that we have different categories of human, depending on your club status, these are private organizations. GOP is organized as a not-for-profit organization, makes its own rules, just like Democrats do. They make their own rules. They can change them as they want. And the fact that, they have special rights and privileges that I don't as a member of the Libertarian Party or an independent, that's all unconstitutional. And with the 9th and 10th Amendments of the federal Constitution, it's just as simple. The 9th Amendment says we have all the rights that are not specifically taken away by constitutions in writing. And the 10th Amendment, of course, says government has no authority that's not specifically granted in the writing of the Constitution. So there's nothing silent in the Constitution. There's nothing vague. If you doubt something, if there's any question whether government can do it, no, it can't. And that's what the 10th Amendment is for.
And so I think they've overstepped that so much on things.
Yeah.
So, we got George Middleton on here. George he's been on our show before. I call him the coolest guy on the East Side, but the political parties today are grooming their voters instead of serving them. And man, that is a correct statement. Go ahead, Tiffany.
So I'm at a local high school doing career day, and these 4 teenagers come up to my table, and I've got a table. It says GOP, and we're really just trying to register kids to vote, tell them to register when they need to register. And they asked me about my party and my beliefs. And I said something to them. I said, well, one of the things that's really important to us is closing and securing the border between the United States and Mexico. And these girls said, well, why is that a problem? And this is going to the part about the grooming. I was like, oh my goodness. And so what I said was, nobody get mad at me if some of my facts are wrong, but I was telling them, I said, your high school is funded based on the number of students they expect, and there's a funding formula. And when we have children that come into the schools who may not be documented or counted, so they're dividing that money amongst more people. And so some of those children might need extra resources. So what that means to you ladies is that your school's not able to invest in you because they don't have enough money because they're meeting the needs of other students that they did not expect and that they're not funding for. And it was just so nice to see their faces just kind of crumble a little bit, like,
really? Yeah.
Yes, because to the point about grooming, they're grooming them, they're not informing them, and then they're not saying, this is what it means to you. You got these girls in high school, minority students already working hard, depending on your position and attitude in life, the world's against you. But, oh, by the way, your school is taking on more students than it's funded for. And that hurts you. So that's one of the very few reasons why the border needs to be closed. We won't even talk about trafficking, but it was
Or
just
drugs, yeah, trafficking and
right.
trafficking.
Fentanyl, the reason why you know, don't share pills, but don't do pills. But you know, just like these kids just don't fully understand what it means to them. So I'm in this veterans group and we're going to a local high school to talk to them about Vietnam. And it's like, wow, how do you put this in perspective? How do you get children, young people to understand the importance of fighting the spread of communism? How do you get them to understand that we as a nation felt that, you know, it was a big enough threat and we wanted to work to thwart it, and we sent our men to war? And oh, by the way, if we lost World War I, World War II, Vietnam, you would not have the freedom today to question your gender. You know, like that is one of those things that is a byproduct of freedom. You know, we're not all living in tents and huts, you know, with that fire and that water that's always boiling. I mean, like, this is America. This is the greatest country ever, because we let our young men and some women go fight for our country. It's like, how do you make that relevant to young people today?
I just don't think they've had the struggle. I don't, you know, it's everything.
We don't want them to go fight. Like,
yeah.
Why?
Well,
why?
And also, Tiffany, if you could put that speech you just gave into a TikTok video, it would go viral. On the young people would get it now, but they're not going to be watching the Mouthwash show because it's not, you know, it's not TikTok or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It seems like everything's got to be. It's like they're being marketed to. You know, in the grooming and the marketing and
like,
all that.
You're telling me that like grooming isn't like the whole like, you know, rebel flag and like friggin', you know, belt buckles. Like every side has grooming.
But it's where it comes from. So this is the thing that is unfortunate in the United States, is more likely you're only going to do what your parents have done. You know, if your dad's a doctor, your probability of you being a doctor is pretty high. If your mom's a crackhead, there's a probability that you might be a crackhead too. But this is the thing, is that like, that's why parents are so important. I was looking into something, you know, there has to be a number of impressions that young people receive where they begin to question their gender. So there's a point where up until like 4 years, you know, the average child has a really good sense of where they fall. But there has to be data that shows that if you get young, impressionable minds to question their gender and their sexuality and their freedoms and who should be telling them what to do, there has to be a certain number of impressions where they're just like, oh, this is what I think I am. This is what I think I do. You know, I'm in charge. My parents aren't in charge, you know, blah, blah, blah. But I think we have to be conscious of what people are consuming in society, what they're consuming on social media, what they're consuming in schools versus what their parents are reinforcing at home. There are a lot of children who come from really good homes who end up doing things that their mother would never have ever told them or expected.
Yeah, because they're their own person. Like they make their own choices.
They're getting signals from other parts of society.
Well, the whole point of school
to process it. Like,
isn't the whole point of school that children are a tabula rasa. They're kind of a blank slate, and that, you know, they are extremely impressionable, and we don't give them car keys and a bottle of whiskey and tell them to have fun, because, you know, they're likely to put their hand on the stove. They're likely to do things that are dangerous, and it's adults that have adult rights, because we make the assumption, and I think a very wise assumption, that children are not adults, and that, you know, they make childish mistakes and they learn from them if they live, but sometimes they don't. And, you know, if we're trying to keep our kids both safe and to grow up to be, you know, adults at all, we have to protect. I mean, what kind of parent does not protect their children from bad influences? And we, you know, we could maybe disagree on what bad influences are.
The sliding scale. Yeah.
It is a slide, but you know, kind of, I'm going to guess, Brad, you're going to probably agree with me on one thing, and that we have changed the way Americans think about war, and even about things like the USA flag. Because remember, I don't know how many people know this, but it was Francis Bellamy, who was a rabid socialist and an apostate minister, who actually wrote the initial Pledge of Allegiance. And it did not even contain the United States of America. It was originally, there was a stiff arm salute, you know, like a Nazi salute. In fact, the Nazis got it from the Bellamy salute. And it was, you know, I pledge allegiance to my flag and to the republic for which it stands, one nation indivisible with liberty and justice for all. So under God didn't appear until 1953. The United States of America didn't appear until the early 1900s. This goes back to 1896 when he was trying to sell flags. And the idea being that, a lot of people back then thought it was idolatry to promise to obey a flag. And so they added in words to try to fix this. But we have changed an awful lot of how we think about war, how we think about what the Second Amendment really meant. We used to have a militia system where if older people had to go to war too, then, when we had the draft.
How long ago was that though?
Well, this was in 1903 is when, the Dick Act basically killed our militia system, and we ended up nationalizing the what we now call the Federal Reserves. We no longer have state militias under the governor, but it used to be that we would not vote for somebody who would send us to foreign wars, and we did not. Our policy used to be peace, commerce, honest friendship with all nations, entangling alliances with none.
What happened to that?
What happened to that is we were warned. So when, in that same speech where Eisenhower talked about the military industrial complex, he also mentioned the scientific and technological elite. And so he was talking about the CIA, the FBI, Raytheon, Lockheed, the whole, the panoply of players now that are really, our deep state. And like I was saying before, was I saying to you guys before? Maybe it was when I was talking to Mark Small before. It's frustrating that we have ignored the warnings of people like Truman, who created the CIA and then instantly regretted it. And then people like, Eisenhower, who warned us about, the deep state, and then JFK, who warned us about the deep state, and then he probably got killed by it. And, when he said in private, so we're not sure he said this, but, it's pretty well known that he did want to cut up the CIA into a million pieces and cast it to the wind.
And the Fed. He wanted to end the Fed.
Yeah,
too,
and that's just it. You think about what the Fed has done to our monetary system, and the Fed is the engine behind the military industrial complex. And I mean, the reason we got the Fed to begin with was because we had to basically monetize political debt to make it possible to do World War I. We were not able to make, huge wars until we were able to create huge debts. And the only way to do that was with things like fractional reserve banking and then fiat currency.
Yeah. Oh, now Lucy may jump on here. You start talking about that stuff. So, and the Fed, taxation stuff, burn it all down. Burn it all down.
Yeah, I was waiting. See,
so
42 minutes.
So, and I know my grandpa, he was born in 02. I like to say that, 1902. And he went to the World War II. Now he was in the 30s before the thing started. He was actually he was in a military group, but they didn't initially draft older guys. And my grandpa was an engineer. So he ended up going to China from 43 to 45 as an engineer because, but he's in his 40s at that point. And that's sort of uncommon for that many, older people to get drafted into that. So I would say that if we were to have another war like that, we'd lose.
Hilarious. Could you imagine them rounding up like 40 and 50-year-olds?
Oh, my grandpa, he brought half of China back with him. I got stuff down here.
You probably have relatives in China.
I got a piece of a zero that got shot off of the thing. Yeah. My grandpa, he was a player. Yeah, they grew up in the Prohibition. They grew up in the Prohibition era when they were in their 20s. How would that suck? That's almost as bad as COVID. Not going to your high school graduation, not being
Prohibition or COVID. Oh,
yeah. I would go with the COVID all day. I mean, don't be all day. It's like, and this is what's interesting about the Prohibition. When it ended, Indiana split up the liquor to the Senate and the beer to the House. And to this day, it's the same way. I had an uncle in the House of Representatives, 1928. His will, he had like all these beer stocks in there. So don't tell me this corruption ain't been around for a long time. So it's they want to divide up our stuff. That's
and John,
I'm tired of the government dividing our stuff.
Your opening question about like, will politics ever change? I'm like, didn't a guy get stabbed on like the house of or on the House floor in the 1800s? I'm like,
We got caned to death on the House floor. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't, like beat with a stick.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cane.
Let's bring that back. I think a couple that could
Like,
go.
but I mean, there
let's
have
give
been
Marjorie
changes.
Jackson a big stick and
Is
just
what
let her
I'm
start
saying.
whacking people.
Let's not forget the progress we've made so far.
Okay.
With the
It would be a
Well,
lot more exciting. I mean,
that-
we should be like pulling fire alarms and doing stuff like that. I mean, that would
I got it. I have to interrupt about progress, though. I mean, it's as a former engineer, I'm retired now, but as a, you know, I was involved in medical product development and all this stuff, and it frustrates me when we think that the progress that we've had from engineers and scientists and entrepreneurs and, you know, people who give back rubs and things, everybody else should be more responsible for our progress than our politicians, because in my view, we are going backwards in politics. We're going pre-Hammurabi when there were no, I mean, Hammurabi had only 282 laws he carved in stone. And we're going back before that when there were no laws written and the king could do whatever the heck he wanted. And, you know, the first night rights and all of that stuff that kings had. We're going back to totally ungoverned government, unregulated regulation. You know, the fact that, you know, we now believe, an awful lot of people believe, that government has the power and the authority to do everything it's doing. That's shocking because it doesn't. And we've got a criminal gang ruling our government, and our lawmakers are not making most of our laws. Most of our laws are written by unelected bureaucrats.
We don't want to be unpatriotic, though. Like,
I'm sorry?
we need to. We don't want to be unpatriotic. We got to follow what the government says, right? Like,
and that
I'm
is
a rebel.
that was a great reaction. Thank you for that. All right.
No, that's human instinct. We do tend to do that. We do tend to follow the leader. We're kind of a follow the alpha species. And so when you're thinking about most of us, yes, that's true. But society, you know, history is always.
They're like, what, follow the beta? What, follow the gamma?
Follow the alpha Bigfoot, Tiffany.
Well, really?
Well, that's what I mean. Like, what are we following right now? Like,
well,
our tails. We're chasing our tails.
You know, that's
inappropriate. We're fighting the establishment that we've created that may be something we don't even understand, and that we've just let it evolve by whoever's in power.
Well, it's always a tiny minority who determines everything. A tiny minority always determines everything. And so we should be able to decide which tiny minority we want to emulate or follow or ignore or whatever, but we seem to have gotten into a rut.
Yeah,
and
if we could ever figure out who they are, then we can get to the bottom of this thing. You know,
there have been in our history, we have had some amazing leaders who did amazing things just as single people. You think about the speeches of people like Frederick Douglass, or, you know, just a few people.
Rodney King. I mean, you know, can't we get along? I mean, it's just a simple statement that we could just do it.
Well, you know, that just simple things like the golden rule. That if we were to just apply that like almost anywhere, but the fact is, we have fallen into a habit that is basically more about process and abstractions than it is about leaders. So I don't think anybody would be looking up to Biden and saying, like, this is the leader I want to follow.
Yeah,
well, that on either side too.
Yeah,
I mean, like, for any candidate, like, so far in the race is what I'm saying too.
Yeah, our
I don't want to just exclude, you know,
everybody,
this other guy who is really in the news a lot for other things.
Now, Brad, I think I heard today that he's going to start selling Bibles. I don't know what. I don't know.
Oh my God! Like,
or not.
How do you guys even follow him on that?
I don't. What's this you guys stuff? I got to be neutral on this show, which is pretty easy to do. But speaking of books,
the Bible is a wonderful gift.
It is. It's like, you know, that's the most published book in the world, 5 times over of all.
Most stolen book too. It's also the most stolen book.
Well, if you go to the hotel, you get that Gideon's Bible. If you don't steal
the Bible is a wonderful book, and it can be used for great things, and it has like good moral tales in it. It when it is used correctly, it is great. I'm not knocking that.
Yeah,
I'm saying that this man is totally exploiting everybody's love of religion for profit right now, and everybody is just sitting.
Brad,
being like, yes, but it's a gold one this time.
A gold Bible?
I don't know. It's probably. Is it not gold?
I don't know. I just
look it up.
heard
It
the
has-
rumors. It's like, it's amazing how everybody thinks I'm Trump Central. They want to send me this message. Trump's sending Bibles. My hair's on fire. Trump's he's selling Bibles. It's like,
John, did you get a box?
it's what's really interesting is this is the week of Passover, and this is when Jesus flipped over the tables, and we got Trump selling Bibles. So I don't know if you can make this up, but
Seriously, like this is
yeah.
And like
so,
in his head, he's like, oh, this is the perfect business time to be selling Bibles. This is like selling pumpkins at Halloween.
Don't rule that out.
Yeah, it's still early.
Oh my God, Trump pumpkins!
They're the best ever. They're going to be
call
the
them
best.
Trumpkins.
You've never had pumpkins like these.
And he already is a little orange. He's a little orange, so hey, it's going to fit perfectly. Brad, you're a genius. For a Democrat, that was pretty darn smart.
Why would you say Trump pumpkins?
Yeah,
They're
Trumpkin. It's like a duckin.
This is working.
We're going to have, at Thanksgiving, we'll have a Trump Dunkin'. We'll have a Trump Dunkin'. That's going to be Trump stuffed with a duck and a turkey. All in one.
Everybody say it so Webster's will pick us up.
Yeah, Trumpkin. We got Trumpkin. He's always
my God.
So speaking of books, Andrew, tell us about Relighting the Torch. Now, I told somebody about you were coming on. You wrote Relighting the Torch, and he said, "Is it a book about arson?"
Well, the cover art has Lady Liberty looking at the torch, and there's just smoke coming out of it. If that tells you anything, and it's basically my defense in kind of a structured way of constitutional rule of law. So I've got, the beginning of the book has, it's got a whole chapter on, banking and the two-party system and things like that. And so it's, kind of like where we're at now, how we screwed up, why we screwed up. I've got a, chapter on language and the danger of messing with language, which, that very 1984, like Newspeak kind of thing. And then I've got the whole Declaration of Independence and U.S. Constitution with my annotations in it. So you can see how I interpret and read both the Declaration of Independence and Constitution. And then the last part of the book is, how do we fix this? And so I've got suggestions. I've got some things like for nullification and so on, legislatively. But most of the book, in fact, is talking about our accountability for our government, and what is government, and it's really just our collective avatar. And if we understood what the nature of government actually is, and if we took responsibility for it, things would be entirely different. Yeah, I know.
Brad already does.
No, that's what I like. And that is the grumble of society. I feel.
Grumble, stop.
It's not.
I
just
loved
me.
what you said when you talked about the collective, and the collective. When we talk about changing the United States, we talk about whatever we think is broken in Washington and people who aren't following the Constitution. When we think about this and we think that it's broken, the collective has to be reached at a national level. It's not something Missouri can do and California does, and then Oregon might do it too. As a nation, you've got to use whatever media form to get on the same page. I mean, this is not rocket
You got to take a
science.
first step. You got baby
But
steps.
the thing is
Stephanie,
that
like,
there
the
has
states
to
are
be the
broken too.
collective national movement to get this done. If you, Andrew, think that the system is broken, if people nationally aren't thinking the same thing and talking and voting correctly, it's never going to be recognized. If people are like, hey, we're fine with the way it is, in fact, we want it to get better, we're going to vote in this direction. Until we start having these big national conversations, you're never going to change you're never going to move the needle.
Well, you have two parties that are trying to keep us, from doing that. So, Andrew, before you get going again, you can find that on Amazon, correct?
Correct.
Amazon? Is that?
I've got it in audiobook, Kindle edition, print copy. I got both hardcover and paperback. I'm trying to make it available.
Are you the narrator for the audio?
I am. Yeah.
Okay, good. No, yeah.
Ooh, I bet that's really good.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to actually get this.
Yeah, I think you should.
I need to learn at least one article of the Constitution. I need to learn a little bit. If I'm going to do this show, I need to learn more.
Well, all the Bill of Rights. You know how long the Bill of Rights is? It's 10 amendments. It's 10 sentences. Each of the Bill of Rights, each one of those amendments is one sentence. And that's where, people talk. I was initially, years and years ago, somebody said I was a First Amendment expert because I read that sentence.
Yeah.
Well, I'm either going to be really mad or really, I don't know. It's probably going to make me mad. But that's why maybe I've neglected.
I want people to get. Well, let me tell you some good news. The good news is that people are getting disgusted, and the people are changing their hearts and minds. The problem is, up to now, we still have not voted the way we talk. And so, if you talk to people, they'll tell you. I mean, they'll talk like Patrick Henry, even though they're going to vote like Pee Wee Herman. It's just there isn't any.
I meant to do that.
So there isn't any correlation between what we believe and what we do up to now. And really all that's necessary. I mean, I don't run into ideological arguments. When I'm talking to people, it hardly ever happens where people say, oh, you're so wrong about that particular thing. It's generally, yes, but you don't have a chance to win. Your odds are not good. As if this is some kind of game that we're supposed to be playing, when this is no game. This is reality. It's literally life and death, and we're losing. And, since we're not on the winning side, we ought to think about changing whatever the heck we're doing. And that's where I think it's a shame it takes millions of dollars to reach people now. It's a shame that yard signs work. It's a shame that that something, what you have to say in politics has to fit on a bumper sticker, or it doesn't fit in our heads. And that's
talking points. We're down to talking points. I mean, I get them from all angles. I'm in the Republican Party. I get the talking points. They gaslight me in the Republican Party. It's like, come on, we're not doing well in Indianapolis. Don't try to tell me we're doing better. Please.
We're being gaslit. But that's what Tiffany mentioned earlier about impressions on kids. But the adults are no different, and we live on these little impressions, and so sound bites, impressions. You get little flashes of this and that. And the fact that there is a term, name ID, that is correlated with success in politics, that should be an embarrassment to us all. Because, if we're not doing our homework and we don't associate a name with something more than just a name, and that, when we go in and we have this, you can hit one button and pick a whole slate of candidates that you don't know anything about. I will be honest.
I hate those other guys.
What's wrong with meeting people where they are?
No, I'm all for meeting people where they are.
That's where people are, and some people have 2 jobs, some people don't even vote, and it is emotion that brings people out to vote. But we're just recognizing people where they are. If we were going to make people go to town halls, we'd be kidnapping them.
Well, we don't make people go to town halls, but
that's the thing, and we don't make them learn about candidates. We don't make them have these experiences.
Why? Are we live streaming them?
But when you talk about people voting, it's like usually it's something that your parents have always done, so it's something that you do, or you've somebody who's chosen to be on top of what's going on, or there's emotion that brings you to the ballot, or to the voting location. So you have to meet people where they are. I mean, as much as politics is bad, it's a game of winning. It's 50 plus.
No, it's not a game. Like people
it's math. It's math. If you and I are having a competition of ideas and people are voting for us, and more people vote for me than vote for you, then I won. I won the competition.
That's where a 3-way race has an advantage in math too. If you're going to talk about the grim facts of a bell curve, and that half of us are below average, you're not going to get a good outcome out of a 2-party system. And that's just math. And so if you're talking just math,
are below average, maybe average is too high.
Well, a bell curve takes all that into consideration.
It does.
You can't focus for the middle. You got to go middle minus. You got to meet people where they are, and I think that's okay.
Well, unfortunately, we are.
In order to meet people where they are,
we're running out of time.
You've got to do things that are
We still got some time.
You've got to do things that are non-traditional. It's not just going to be a mail piece. It might be going to the local bars, going to the farm.
I'm all for all of that.
Yeah, let's go to the bars right now.
The thing, you have to meet people where they are.
Happy hour.
Every American who has the right to vote, they love talking to people who are running for office. They love it. I'm sure, Andrew, when you knock on doors, John, when you're out there, Brad, people love talking to candidates. People love engaging in political conversations.
Well, I love doing it.
It's their constitutional right as an American that they can vote or they don't have to vote, and it's their choice.
The most common phrase I hear is "get off my lawn."
That's because you're peeing on it.
Yeah. Hey, Andrew, I do some impressions. Does that mean I could run for office again? Maybe.
Yes,
I do.
Well,
Timothy Frog. It's nothing. Those impressions are good. The Bullwinkle, all those. So even a little Pee Wee Herman every once in a while. But so I want to shift gears here. We are getting close to the conspiracy theory, which Andrew is brave. He said he will do this, and that is good. So say Andrew Horning wins the Senate and I would say it would be an upset, which I'll be, I'll come to your ticker tape parade. What is your number one thing that you would like to change or get rid of? Not you want to add something, because you always hear people, I'm going to run for office and I'm going to make this law or that law. Which one is your most loathsome rule, law, whatever? Which would you go after first?
Well, it's in my book, of course. So I should probably say I'm not going to tell you. You have to buy my book.
That's it. And that's the answer. I love that answer. That is capitalism at its best.
The whole last chapter is my suggestions, what I think is most important. But frankly, a lot of it, you almost said it, it's nullification. We need to get rid of more laws and we need to add.
Freedom.
So,
I mean, our freedoms are getting taken away from us left and right, even at our property level.
We have
Why
only
do I have to ask permission to fix my house? And then I not only have permission, but then I get punished by higher property taxes. It's anyway. Now I'm starting to get mad. I may have to vote this year. People don't vote till they get mad, so I guess a lot of people are mad.
I want you mad.
I think I said that.
Yeah, Tiffany. You've been nice to me tonight, Tiffany. I appreciate it. It's probably because I played your commercial today.
Well, I'm sad that she hasn't made fun of me yet.
I'm so sorry. You've been on the show before. What topic were you on? Did I make fun of you?
Lucy isn't here to rile her up, though.
I know it. Yeah, Lucy usually brings out Tiffany's best side.
Yeah.
I mean,
Lucy
they've
gets
had a
everybody
couple of
riled
cat
up.
fights live on the air before.
Oh man, I missed it. Shoot.
I know it. It's like
You've been on the show before, Andrew.
I have,
Yeah.
but I think you were pretty respectful last time too. I don't think you ever actually made fun of me. And
I mean, I'm so sorry. I don't know how many brown women you know, but typically we're not as we appear on TV. I'm not going to flip the table and curse you out. I mean, unless that's what you really want.
Oh, but at the start of the show, you said that if you make fun of me, that means that you like me, and I just.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I just want you to make a little bit of fun of me. Say I'm old or something. I don't, just whatever.
I love that you're downstairs with that really dark wood paneling, and it just makes me want to paint it gray.
Oh, actually, this is actually the top of my barn. So
yeah, he's got Tiffany's got a cool place down there. It's a really cool place that he's got. He's out there. If it all goes bad, he's going to be just fine. Him and Lucy will probably be just fine. I'll be gone. I'm
One of those places
over here. They're probably going to
where
move
we're
first.
supposed to go when they come for us. Is it on a compound?
Yeah.
And Andrew, your dad was a World War II pilot. Is that correct?
Yeah, he got shot down, and he was a guest of the Germans at the end of the war. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I know. That's another really cool story.
Yeah,
like I said.
Yeah.
Wow.
So-
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah,
He weighed 90 pounds when he got out of the POW camp when they
Oh my
finally
God.
rescued him.
It's
Wait, can we do
quite
Can we do another hour on that? Just
It's a
He's
cool
got-
story. It's a
He's
cool
got
story.
models and
I
everything.
mean-
Did he fly one of those big B-51s or whatever?
B-17, yeah. And
Yeah.
one of my boys made he actually won awards for this diorama he made
Yeah,
of
it's
the
cool.
crash site, because one of my brothers who lived in Germany and actually he speaks German, and he talked to some people who actually saw the crash and took pictures of it, and we had pictures of it from which he built this model, and so it's actually still hanging in my garage. I've got the barn. There's still today a streak along this brick barn where it sheared off a meter of the I guess it was the port wing of the B-17, and so we had.
So he
lot
not
of
only
detail.
survived the crash, but he survived the Germans.
He
And now
survived the German.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So wow, that's pretty cool. And that's your dad, right?
That's my dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, man, you must have been born when he was like 80 or something.
No, I'm like really old. Yeah.
You're my age. How old are you? You're not over 63.
Don't say.
I'm way over 60.
Hey, we're all adults here. Let's just.
I used to be 63.
Okay, well,
yeah.
There you go. That
Right.
makes sense. But see, so my grandpa was in WW2, but he was sort of old. So I guess that makes sense.
Well, actually, my dad, I think, was younger when he was in World War II.
Okay, so he went.
Yeah,
so that was,
I think
my dad was in the Korean thing. Now that's another one that was a rough one. It was, everybody doesn't remember that, but that was cold and it was that was a tough sledding deal.
Yep.
So, but I'm just glad, the worst thing I had to do was Reagan made us register for the draft in 80. I remember that. And some people were like freaking out. I got to register for the draft. I don't want to go do it. I'm like, where do I sign? I'll do this thing because we were going to go fight the Ruskies or whatever we call them back then. So anyway, but that didn't happen. Didn't bail out. The Cubans back down or whatever happened. It was like the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor, whatever.
Rocky beat Drago. That's what happened.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, that was it. That was about the time. I mean, it's all in the movie. All right. So we've had Andrew, I just love having you on the show. You are one of the smartest guys I know about the Constitution. I would suggest people go out and get this book, Relighting the Torch. And hey, vote for this guy for the Senate. You want to see people's mouth fall open on November 8th. Elect Andrew Horning. Isn't that right? Because it's in the 7th, November 7th this year, maybe.
If you say that the date wrong, you could end up in jail. So be careful about that.
They'll never take me alive. So,
is there seriously like that law about that?
No, there's no law about that. But remember there was that guy who he was joking. He made like a TikTok video or something like that, and he said Republicans vote this day, but Democrats go vote this day, and he ended up getting thrown in jail.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Sometimes yelling fire in a crowded theater is not the best thing to do. Okay. Well, let's go ahead. We're going to play I'm going to play the intro to the conspiracy theory. So look, Brad's already looking. So, all right, go get him.
Hey, y'all, it's time for the conspiracy theory. So you better get your tinfoil hat out and let's see what's going on this week.
All right, before Spiro reminded me to put the banner on, I got it. what?
I've got conspiracy gloves.
Conspiracy gloves.
He looks like he's Mario Brothers or something. Mario.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, John. Thank you so much. Can I just start with my conspiracy then? Because everybody that I've shown this to is all they've done when they've seen it is go, ha-ha. Like
Mickey Mouse, yeah.
And I'm like, no, Mickey. This is Mario. So
Mario, I got it right away. Yeah. I'm not even that smart.
Yeah. All right.
Mickey had only 3 fingers though, so.
Yeah.
All right, like I gotta remember that one next time because it's gonna happen again. I know.
Yeah, 3 fingers. Well, see, that didn't have 3 fingers. So, what's your conspiracy? That Mickey Mouse has 3 fingers, or are you gonna go
that these are not Mickey Mouse gloves, that these are in fact Mario gloves?
That you started out so strong and then it just faded. After that, it just faded.
Why aren't they just gloves?
Oh, I got them at Super Mario World. Oh,
I thought they were oven mitts.
I mean, they probably could be, but I don't want to be like the reason that there's a
baseball glove.
Big baseball gloves, yeah.
It would be like that'd be your white glove treatment. So when your cleaning person comes over, you can check it out. So Tiffany, what Bigfoot sightings or anything? You sent me a video of some kids screaming.
Video. I think that I don't know if you can play it, but I think it's really funny.
Yeah, I can't. I didn't download it. I've seen it a couple times, but was that their dad or something dressed up in a big suit? Probably. Just freaking out. They were like, so.
But it made me think. If I were to encounter Bigfoot, would I be frightened?
What do you mean? If? You've been trapping them forever. Don't try to play like you don't.
You would act frightened.
The reason why I don't have Bigfoot is because I was not trapping actual Bigfoot. I was attracting like extra small foot or maybe medium foot. But maybe when actual Bigfoot shows up,
fuzzy foot.
Okay, it was a gnome. Okay,
No,
he was a man of small stature.
Yeah, he had a funny hat.
But that's the thing. When I saw that, I was like, oh my gosh, what if Bigfoot actually did show up? Then I might really be scared and frightened, like the video, which I thought was hilarious.
Yeah, right. I don't think you'd be scared of Bigfoot at all. So, Andrew, what do you have for us for the conspiracy? I mean, we already did talk about a little bit of the JFK thing and Trump and all that, but
well, it's kind of unfortunate that so many of the things that I've been warning people about they used to be called conspiracy theories, but now they're being acknowledged as fact.
Oh, so you're channeling Lucy. That's what Lucy says all the time.
Oh, really?
Conspiracy fact.
Well, let me just give you, there's kind of a secret to this, and that is libertarians are right.
Not conservatives were
right, but right. Okay.
No, well, the fact is, we're the ones who started. Like Ron Paul was a libertarian. He was a libertarian presidential candidate when he first started talking, or people at least heard him talking about the Fed and all of this kind of stuff that was kind of like the libertarian domain, where we were the ones who talked about government corruption when everybody else was, they were feeding it. And well, they were. And well, to be fair, I mean, I understand why, so many people couldn't talk about it. And there, unless you're outside of that system, you really can't talk about corruption with a straight face, even if you're not worried about getting offed, the way so many people have. And people have joked about this forever. People have joked about, even election fraud, like the Box 13 scandal of LBJ, where 200 people voted in alphabetical order in his first Texas Senate race.
They were rule followers.
I mean, no, you stand in line here. No, Sally, you get in front of Bob, and no, there's people go to jail every election cycle for election fraud. Every election cycle, people go to jail for it. And yet you still have people saying, no, election fraud never happened significantly, even though every now and then it proves that, okay, we have to overturn this election because this was bogus. And this has happened many times in every country all throughout the world. And when you see that, okay, now they're admitting that, yes, not only is it legal in some places for illegal aliens to vote, but, they've been voting for some time. And that a lot of the things that we're blaming on Biden with the border stuff really kind of started under the Reagan administration and has been going on for quite a while. And so I guess I don't know if I can start a new conspiracy theory because, we've been talking about this forever. But if I was going to say, if I wanted to invent a conspiracy theory on the spot, I guess it would be that there is going to be something very soon that's going to make us all very scared and is going to make us, submit to more oppression from our government, more power for politicians, fewer rights for us. And it's going to happen because that's just kind of the pattern that we have set unless we decide to change it.
Wow, that's a perfect segue because we got Lucy mailing hers in the comments. So here you go. This is it.
Damn it, it's a solar eclipse. I knew
the solar eclipse. You just see, Brad, you could have come up with that just as easy. Look, she's already got a number thing here. And this is coming up soon. I mean, Andrew just said it's coming up soon. It's April.
Well, she's doing numerology here too. I can't beat that.
You can't. You cannot. Just don't even try with Lucy. I mean, she's not even on the show, and she still mails it in and nails it.
Nailed it.
Just look it up. But I don't know if it's as good as my conspiracy theory. I mean, that one's pretty low hanging fruit. So I mentioned earlier about Trump and his Bibles, his golden Bibles. Well, you've seen the movie Willy Wonka, right? You've seen it. And they have golden tickets. Well, inside these Bibles, Trump's going to have 10 golden tickets. And those golden tickets you're going to get a trip to Mar-a-Lago, and you can have all the chocolate you can eat at Mar-a-Lago and play golf until you fall down. So that is the new conspiracy. Buy a Trump Bible. I think somebody put in there that they're $60 each. So
I was kind of going with it until you mentioned the chocolate.
You don't like chocolate, Andrew? I mean,
No, I like chocolate. I mean, I can pass on chocolate, but I just don't see Trump as giving away chocolate. No.
Okay, Big Macs.
Yeah, that's more likely.
That's more like it's all the Big Macs you can eat at the Mar-a-Lago, and as long as he doesn't have to give it up for the lawsuit. Okay. it might be you may have to get the New York to allow you to come on there. So because they'll be the new owners. So yeah. Oh, one of the things, you know, we talked about here, the big container ship that drove into the bridge. It's like, man, did you see how wide that it was? Like missing a field goal from like the 1 yard line. I mean, how do you do that? That is like, that's just crazy. That's crazy.
It looked distressed before it hit. You know?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Right. You know, that ship ran right into the thing and just
on purpose.
I don't know. It seems like it's how do you hit it? Nobody's hit it before out of all these years.
That's what I mean. Like, how do you hit it? Like,
this is what Spiro's got the answer. It had no power. It couldn't stop.
Oh, okay.
The bridge stopped it though. But you know, I see people already making jokes about the how soon is too soon anymore is what I want to know. It's like, okay, let's give it a day before we start making jokes about the boat hitting the bridge and all that. It's like, it's sort of like the bridge over troubled waters. We just, come on, leave it alone.
Depends on the joke though, too. Like if it's really funny.
Oh, there we go. See, that's the problem. We have if it's funny enough, it's okay. Justification's going to get us to the road to hell is paved with justification, right? So, all right, folks. Well, Andrew, we thank you for coming on. Hey, get Andrew's book, and then you'll see solutions that we can have and we can do. Let me take the banner off here and my hat off. So, you know, you'll be. They'll do a commercial with you and me on it, Andrew, about, you know, you hang out with these crazy people in their hats and whatnot. And, you know, that's how it goes. So, hey, thanks for watching, everybody. Catch us next Tuesday. We're going to have Jamie Rittenauer, and I think we're going to have Paige Miller on, her education guru. Brad, what? Calm down. Just calm. You're going to have fun.
Now to tell me this?
Maybe we'll let Cassie come on so yeah, this will be a good spirited thing. And then we'll go from there. So, all right. Hey, thanks for watching, everybody. We'll catch you next week. Tell your friends, follow our page, get the book, tell Brad how great his hands are, and buy some house from Tiffany. I get it. See ya.
See ya.